you guys? How are you? So I've just gone and changed the title to Waves and Intuitive Visions. And that's because yesterday I had a really powerful emotional wave and storm, triggered really lightly, and then when I just dropped into meditation it really kind of came through. So and that's for me a share with you guys. That's a big part of my personal practice, is when there's a trigger or when there's quite a powerful emotional impact, I often am guided to withdraw and to drop into meditation and sit with the clearing and observe it and listen to it and feel it, with the clearing and observe it and listen to it and feel it. And good morning, Marco. How are you? So yesterday when I was sitting in the meditation, I kept getting a vision of the bottom of the sea. So and part of the trigger was also a reflection of deep waves and kind of cosmic clearings and the Vatican. Are you tired? What time is it for you? Where are you in the world? So yeah, the vision was, I kept getting just the bottom of the ocean floor. It's as if the waves that are clearing out from within us are that deep, and the more we just allow the waves to move through us, indeed, the more unified beings we become. It's sort of that simple. We just allow the full spectrum of who we are to be embodied, which is when we can just drop into that silent void and allow that transformation, that alchemical process to take place within the body. And how we experience it is what we call the emotions, right? The energy in motion. And part of our worldview, or the old paradigm, is the fact that we have compartmentalized ourselves. We've sort of internalized this conflict of separation, of thinking the world is completely separate from us, where the opposite is closer to the truth, that we are a unified vision with the world that we experience around us. And the way we're learning to integrate that is by remembering and allowing and holding space for the entirety of our emotional feeling space and process. And then what happens within us in our consciousness is that we recognize the connection of the mind, body, spirit complex contained in the emotional awareness, as the kind of vehicle of directing consciousness and directing thought. So no longer are our body and our emotions separate from us and kind of in conflict with our mind, our thinking process. It becomes a unified, I guess, self-directed, but self in a much broader sense. Again, in a unified sense, because the realization is that the self is one with other, not separate from other. And so we work always at kind of feeling in and processing until we find that compassion and clarity of a unified field. And this is why our intuition becomes honed, or our psychic abilities, our clairvoyance, telepathy, clairaudience, all of these sort of extrasensory perceptions become more visceral and real, because we're connecting dots inside our consciousness. We're embodying greater truth, which is what helps us reflect things back, but also have greater clarity within ourselves when we're engaging with other, because we can find the center point and be aware of our own trigger for clarity versus or healing or clearing and transformation, and the feedback or the rebound of where another person's energy field is sitting, where they're coming from, how they might be subtly attacking and or kind of poking in, or like sometimes there's just different levels of clarity, different levels of purpose, and at the same time it is still all unified. We are on some level always kind of asking ourselves to go deeper. So good morning, everybody. Nice to see you here this morning. It's so funny because you guys know, like, I talk about living in the flow and how, I do have like things put in, like in my diary, dates and meetings and stuff like this, grounded to earth and ocean floor, unified and more. Beautiful. But like 15 minutes before 6 o'clock, so at like 5:45, I was like debating going live on YouTube because I just did a live share on Facebook. And then suddenly I was like, oh yeah, I have live share. It's Sunday morning. Because I was thinking about how I'm going to fly. I'm flying to Indonesia. I'm flying to Bali tonight. So I'm kind of anticipating that. I'm aware of things that I have to do today, including go and have a session in London. So I suppose a part of the purpose. Good morning, Beth. How are you? I feel like I might have just shared this on Facebook as well, but I'm going to share it here as well, because it's fairly relevant to this community, because there's been two sort of trigger points for me with the language that Aluna Ash has been using around waves, and she's also mentioned the Vatican a couple times. And then one of you guys actually shared something personally with me about Aluna share, the waves, and the Vatican, and then yesterday morning, because of the emotions coming through, there was like this next layer of trigger that dropped me into a meditation yesterday. And again, in the meditation, it was like, I told you guys already, the bottom of the ocean floor. So like the waves are clearing really, really deeply. And I keep getting this sense of like how this next wave clearing is like opening a portal to Middle Earth. And like, this is one of those weird things about channeling, of like not thinking about it too much, because when I do, I'm not, it's obviously yet to be discovered information from within self and how it connects to a rising up of greater connectivity and benevolence on the planet. So this kind of deeper, very deep indeed, clearing, emotional clearing, water waves, right? Water waves is how we can interpret what's happening in our physical vessel. Like the emotional waves that come through us are connected to kind of cosmic waves of light that are upgrading us and transforming us. They're literally, what's happening is an alchemical process where our bodies, our cells are becoming more light filled, more unified with the external reality as the earth grids shapeshift ultimately, and it is all done in harmony and grace. We just are getting better used at holding space for our vessels as they clear these densities. I call them densities in the Fearless Life Guide, just to make it as simple as possible. Good morning, Marco. So the other quite powerful part of the vision and the clearing was a vision of when I was meditating on the Vatican, was like the walls crumbling, and then it was like this massive portal underneath the Vatican, or like as the walls were crumbling, it was like this huge black sort of, yeah, density, just like or like almost like specters, or like these like dark entity beings, just like from underneath that stronghold, you could say. So and the way I experienced it again was this massive like and holding, and my intuitive guidance was just like stand tall now, like stand firm, choose the light, shine the light here, shine the light here, let this darkness go, let this darkness be purged, let this energy stream of divide and conquer and control and domination and darkness that's been harboring on the planet for millennia, let all of that darkness be purged from the vortexual energy of the collective grid of this planet that we're all holding space for and that we're all here to experience and live on. So it was super powerful, and I feel quite like quite light in expressing and sharing this vision with you guys. I feel like this was a positive kind of shapeshift. It's still on the physical plane. We'll see, collapses, rising of groups of people. So part of the darkness purge is an elevation of what we would call unconditional love on the planet. So more and more beings are accessing their divinity, their unconditional love, their star power. That's what I like to call it. Their star power. They're embodying more of their spiritual essence, so more of their light force. And this embodiment as beings on this planet is also part of shape-shifting and releasing and clearing out these darker aspects, which we own because they're still an aspect of our broader co-creative ability. And so there's a deeper understanding of darkness from within ourselves and what it is and how uncomfortable it is, and for most of us how painful it is. If beings choose to live on that frequency, they can. But part of the greater story, or the cosmic elevation of this planet, is that in a kind of larger part of the agreement is that beings who are going to choose to live on that frequency, they go elsewhere. Hence, seeing this dark energy leave where they're rooted. So how and where they're rooted on the planet, we're going to start to see these false roots be uprooted and leave. And then this is going to help us continue to do the work, essentially, that we've always been doing. Interesting. See, with our dreams, I would say there's always very relevant messages. And so in our dreamscape, and then what we remember from it and the visceral feelings that we remember from it, we can meditate with those, we can sit with those and kind of unlock the messages they contain. There feels to be like resistance there, and a bit of fear. At the same time, you can ground into those messages and uproot them inside our consciousness. And that's a big part of the work, is that when we are overcome by a discomfort, disparity in our external reality, that's often the signs we're getting. I'm just reading your thing. I couldn't breathe. Getting choked up and not being able to breathe. And then, well, I would say, like, how does that connect to things going on in your personal life? How does that connect to, energies that you're experiencing in your reality, in your mind, in your consciousness? Do you feel that your life force is being cut off somehow, or are you undergoing metamorph? Like, sometimes when we are undergoing an aspect of ego death or transformation, then we often do have dreams of death. We have dreams of kind of being killed. I remember in my last cycle, around 2010, I just had like a series of death dreams. My life was undergoing such change and transformation so quickly. Okay, good. That's good. That's really good. It's nice to share. And then those dreams can also just be kind of elevating us into broader experiences, I suppose, as well. Good, happy Kipper. So sometimes when I've gone through transformation, I'll have dreams where I'm being killed or people around me are dying. which obviously in the dreamland, isn't particularly a nice experience, but sometimes I think those deeper visions within our consciousness actually help us to purge some of the deeper darknesses within us as well. John, nice one. Yeah, some kind of purge process. Like I just said, like we can go into these darker realms in dreamscape, which again is still part of our consciousness, part of our kind of death rebirth cycle in one lifetime. So do I. So do I, Marco. Clearly, this is the platform for talking, my friend. So yeah, our dreams, and if anything, I think that's a big part of the merging process. And merging, we could say so many different words to explain it, but in a way, to me, in this body on this planet, which is like, this is kind of the agreed experience that we live on planet Earth, it just feels like more coming alive, more coming online, like feeling connected, right? And with the internet, we've been creative in finding more ways of global connectivity, which means this sort of exponential elevation of the new paradigm of just a kind of more integrated, more harmonious, more alive feeling, more better feeling state of being for humanity. And how that begins to manifest itself on the physical is going to be probably in weird and wonderful ways, and at the same time for a lot of us, ways that we are familiar now. It's like how veganism and spirituality and all this kind of stuff is it's gaining momentum, it's picking up speed. And for a lot of us, it's just like, yay, finally not complete weirdos, or not complete, like, even the way people still talk about the emotional body, and it's like, no, we're coming into that greater awareness now, right? We're coming in. I'm going to read your guys' things. My reverent recent dreams are about missions, like a different dimensions, helping others. I don't remember them in the morning, but I get a sense they're working in my dreams. I want to remember them. Ooh, cool. I'm definitely not the best person to talk about the dream stuff either. I often, I've had significant moments in life where dreams are a kind of big part, and I have like my awareness of them, but I don't work in that realm. And I'm obviously, I'm aware that people do. There are people who kind of work in those realms. Mine is in more my kind of conscious waking state, in meditation states or in deep relaxation states. Whereas when I go to sleep, I just sleep and am probably just resting in a voidal rested state. Especially the more in the flow I am, the more my sleeping patterns are not fixed, and a lot more of my physical reality isn't fixed in a kind of attached way or any kind of rigid, stressful way, you could say. So everything is really fluid, including sleep time, waking state. Like, I've joked about this, but like my increasingly so, it just, reality is just like here now. And now I'm here now, and now I'm here now. Like, I'm very aware of driving and being in this kind of like contained bubble, this kind of contained, protected bubble of like the higher self moving through the vessel, basically. So like, and that's part of this like deep merging work, the discipline of meditation over years and years, and like self-love over years, and continuing, because I express and share the triggers with you sometimes of like the continual self-love practice, the continual self-care practice, the continual like, yeah, having to love the vessel very consciously, so that work continues, and the elevation continues as the storms continue to be processed. And as I share the process, it would appear the storms continue to resonate with a broader part of the collective, who resonate with this this work that we're all sort of intuitively doing, this inner work, this emotional work, this embodiment of sovereignty and our divinity, which means it's not like controlling each other or dictating to one another. It's just like, I'm feeling more alive, and like these are the things that are coming into my reality, and like what am I meant to do with them, and how can we best serve one another, how can we ground in, as often it would appear things kind of going more and more insane or more and more crazy, or like, you know, what's going to happen to this world and what are we going to do and all this kind of stuff. The more we as beings anchor into like the deepest parts of ourselves, the more there's these visions that come through that are kind of guiding us, and it feels really loving. And so it's like you never want to go back. And that is part of the journey, the bittersweetness of the journey, of these ideas of letting go, of facing our fears. There's a real death process, a dark night of the soul, whatever we want to call it, right? It's like, do it, Marco. Raise alpacas at the farm. That's brilliant. Yeah, we all have these inner dreams, these visions that my sort of vision for you guys is to bring them out of us, right? Conversation about they would like to learn before they die. Brilliant, yeah. And that's the thing, it's just remembering that we all have contained within us the ability and the function to make manifest that which our inner innate desires want to bring to life. That we have this finite time, that we've created this finite time on this planet, this beautiful station of like creation where we can just like create whatever we want. And we are all unique vessels of creation, and we're having a co-creative experience under the veil with an illusion of separation. As we awaken to our broader potential, we unify more of the field, which is really important for a lot of us here. And again, if it's not important for certain beings, they can find elsewhere to dwell. And so there's like this greater awakening. It's happening within us. We're bringing it and making it come to life through our own surrender to it, essentially, which helps us as beings basically vibrate more love. Vibrate. And love is just love. Love isn't like the old paradigm love of attaching it to external things. Love is literally just feeling love, heart, vibrate. It's there's a bliss and an ecstasy in infusing our beingness with this epic, very visceral sense of connectivity to all that is. And that's really the connectivity that helps us dissolve the fear of death and dissolve all fear or all separation. It's this tangible knowing of our oneness and our connectivity. And then that helps us, that kind of builds us up, and it helps us have the resource and momentum to continue to hold space for whatever it is that we're not desiring anymore. Marco, is that, I thought you just said you wanted alpaca's bed. So some dream stuff is coming up. We just had the new moon, so we've definitely had some waves. Usually some things come to light or stuff can come up for clearing around moon portals. I guess they just give us more space, and the more we agree to that, the more we allow that as well. Similarly with circles of men and women coming together and congregating, different high vibrational retreats happening around the world, a lot of new paradigm communities continue to grow and expand. Somebody asked me in one of my shares about mainstream, like, aren't you on mainstream here? And the way to distinguish mainstream is the dominant agenda. And so it really is almost quite simply when you look at numbers and you look at, you can still clump social media into that, but there is there's still a mainstream agenda driving through social media, and that's to do with like the hits, what's being driven on a mass consciousness level. So who are the big pop stars? What's pop culture? What's the dominant stories that are getting the most hit and the most feeds and that are being pushed onto the masses the most? Advertising, fearful news agenda, warmongering, disparity, conflict, pop culture in as far as like sex and drugs and promiscuity and drama and violence and all of that. So those mainstream agendas ultimately what I talk about when that's the stream of energy that triggers us to feel less than, triggers us that feel out of control. What can I do? Stressed out. Less than, ugly, not cool, lonely, like the all that stew of trigger points that any media outside of us triggers in us. That's our practice. That's the practice that I preach and that I endeavor to do myself, is not engaging with that main stream of energy. And so I relate this to you, like I engage with like just random people that I resonate with on YouTube. Yes, it's a social media stream, but it's a stream that aligns with my higher good because it feels good. Because I feed back off of the energy I engage with in a way that reflects back to me an inner knowing that I choose, that I consciously seek. And so I'm aligning everyone that I meet, like every human person that I come into contact with, we resonate. Every person I choose to engage with, I end up sharing a bit about all to love, or they share about wanting to go vegan or getting into spirituality or yoga. Like everything that I'm engaging with now resonates with like where I choose to be after a continual cycle of deep meditation and emotional healing, clearing years of this processing, and ultimately a deep connection with intuition. And so I've always been an emotional being. I've always had that awareness, and now it's just there's teaching evolving out of that. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna read. I had a friend ask me, are we being programmed? I asked him how he feels about the possibility. He said yes, but he didn't know how it was happening. Yes, programming from birth. Yeah. So ancestral is just the idea of there is a collective agreement or program around genetics, right? Around genes. So we are carrying the genetic codes of our ancestors. So that's one form of programming, which the alchemical process of emotional transformation is what's up-leveling us, is what's helping to break those patterns, which is why we're seeing new traditions and new ages of ways of being anchoring in, right? Because we're dissolving those structures, those, even the idea of aging in these bodies, or the idea of resonating with certain foods, or blah 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 blah, like all of it is transforming us to up level to the new grid system, the new frequencies. And then this is to do with this like Vatican vision and these deep waves of clearing out this dark energy. It's that as an aspect of divination and growing and growth and whatever, these these lower frequencies energies have attached to Earth's grid, and it's all contained, and those energies are what we're transforming as well, hence the visions of them leaving. It's just another way to integrate the idea of like up leveling the energies. And so those darker divisive threads that create conflict, that like suck the energy from us, those are actually leaving the Earth's grid, and that's allowing us to anchor in. Oh, and so sorry, yes, John, going back to the programming, is that so these darker energies are also what's created these darker insidious energies of the system that we all kind of gave our power to, hence sucking the energy from us. So we becoming more sovereign and responsible beings is what's disenfranchising the system. But an aspect of the control and domination of the system is the mainstream media, news, propaganda, agenda, like telling stories to mass pockets of consciousness to sway their consciousness, i.e. make them consumers, trigger people in such a way that makes people loop back into just buying stuff, thinking that buying stuff's going to make them feel better, but that's the illusion. And then that dark energy basically feeds off of the disempowered consciousness of the masses. mass clearing. I've experienced mass. Maybe you're rewriting that. Yeah, and so yeah, we have our ancestral and then our personal karma, which to me is a kind of energetic karma, which is very unique to each soul, very unique to each being, because no one can dictate to you your your infinite life cycle, your infinite creative life force, right? That's signature frequency. Hence this new paradigm is really in sovereignty, that we really can't dictate to one another. It's sovereign, it's unique, right? How we channel our gifts and our energies and stuff is a intuitive, unique process, so we allow space for that, right? Seriously, right? Like, it's just, it's funny when as we continue to awaken, that it's just so obvious, and yet clearly it's not. People still would just go, yeah, that will make me happier, bye, bye, right? And so so yeah, there's the element of propaganda and mainstream media, hence this wave of like putting TVs, putting everybody getting TV media, bombard it with the media, and then people start to lose power and give power to these media streams unconsciously. And now we're going into kind of deeper layers of soul contracts and our soul agreements and stuff like that, which different people in different pockets of communities have resources and I would say systems in place to help disengage those more unconscious soul contracts, right? However, as the awakening continues, we will have greater capacity to unlock and like free big pockets of humanity in an instant, just kind of unlock those grids. And that's probably really what these deeper waves are about, is that we are going to be seeing an uprooting of things like the economy and different political systems and agendas that are kind of corrupted and false are going to be kind of uprooted, and so that's going to create upheaval. At the same time, there's enough critical mass that can ground in, that can continue to anchor in the higher frequency light codes to support that next wave of clearing for the masses. Because there's already new media streams, there's already new media aligned with new paradigm. Exactly. Well, exactly. This is like the compassion piece, for me, is like there are still people just very entrenched, very, very, and yet I can still feel like I don't even want to say that, because I'm like, yeah, but the waves are going to keep happening, and people are, that's, I think, for me, whatever it is, like feeling into this massive compassion, massive amount of love, because it's really it's really happening, it's really rising up within people, and so I know, and having kind of been going through this for a while, it's like you just want to be able to love people through this process, because it's deep and it's profound and it's emotionally can be quite painful, and at the same time it's really beautiful and expansive. And so the way we can just keep visualizing everyone being free is like, let's just keep doing that. Boring exception last night. I danced with Vera at Christmas for a guy. Nice. I was dancing by myself. She came over, joined it. Yes, yes. Brilliant. I know. I just pretty much am like in my own little love bubble of fun all the time. And at the same time, I'm aware that other people could see my life and think, oh my God, what on earth are you doing? How boring. Because sometimes I'm just lying there a lot. Sometimes I'm just sitting there in silence. Sometimes I'm just like watching repeat of old shows, or sometimes I'm writing, sometimes I'm working, like there's no real regularity. And yet at the same time, to me, inside myself, because it's so tuned in, The regularity is the fact that my presence is the all familiar self. You know, the presence of your own unconditional love vibration is really what kind of just keeps you flowing in fearlessness, you know, because whenever the fear triggers come up, you just sit with them until you clear them out, and then you realize you're like, oh my god, life is amazing. Life is so cool. Because how it keeps showing up for you is what it's like, whoa, life really is mind-blowingly miraculous. We just forgot, we just got programmed out of it, and the more and more of us that kind of pop out the other side can just in creative ways shine for people, just in our own creative capacity, be like, guys, life is way more fun than you ever were told it was gonna be, and like, there are experiences to be had that when we can just break out of our mind, you know, the prison of our mind, as they say, then life takes on this whole new thing. But yeah, you have to break through a lot of guilt and shame, because we're conditioned to be guilty, and we carry, hence the Vatican and the Catholic Church. I grew up Catholic. I'm acutely aware of the imprinting of guilt and shame at just being a human, especially a woman in the Catholic Church. Like, I was just guilty for most of my thoughts and feelings as a woman. That's like, this is me making fun of my memory of it. Sweet. I know another guy named I think Brendan, Paradigm Shift Central, Mystic Spider-Man on Instagram. He goes around. He randomly lives in one of the towns I grew up in, which is cool because he paradigm shift. He's like going around giving free hugs, and it's super epic. He's like a proper badass superhero. I love him. So I don't know what I was talking about. Either way, you guys, we're on a good trajectory here. We're on a good timeline. This is positive. This is nice to be tuning in on a Sunday morning, or on a Saturday night, or wherever you are in the world, that we're tuning in and we're sharing from our heart, and like we're tuning in to a vision of the world, because we know that our thoughts and our feelings ultimately create the reality. So we're like choosing to agree that a different kind of world is possible, and ultimately by different I do mean better for way more people, if not everybody. You know, I'm that idealistic. I'm that kind of heart love vibration. Like, even if you don't like me, I'm like, it's cool, you don't have to like me, but just go live your dreams. Blah. Oh, Marco, you can never ask for too many hugs. You just have to remind people, like, hugs is therapy, yo. This is the thing of like the next wave as well, is like virtual hugs, virtual hugs, virtual hugs. For sure, John, thank you for reminding me. Virtual hugs are always available. Virtual hugs. So yeah, you're not alone, basically. If you're feeling the waves, if you're starting to feel more of your emotions, I can only continue to empower you to drop into them, to really feel them, to give yourself space and time. Let go of judgment, let go of what we think is normal, let go of what we were told we're supposed to be, and just like drop into your innocent heart field and just be like, okay, this is what is. And then feel, because it's the feeling stuff that we're wanting to kind of clear out. That's what I call the karmic backlog. And I do believe at some point collectively we can let go of the idea of karma, and we can move into a very different frequency of operating on this timeline of Earth and the laws of the universe, because we'll be moving into really radically different frequencies. So that's exciting. Yay. I keep getting a teal swan vision of a video for some reason. Group hug, everybody. Come on, everyone. Group hug. Margot, come on, guys. Group hug, group hug. How fun is this? You guys are the freaking bomb diggity. You've up-leveled my life amazingly so. I'm so impressed with this new reality. I'm just going to keep reflecting back the awesome to you guys, because the heart love vibration is truly taking over all nations. You know it does, right? And then, you know, and that's maybe another part, like, so these dark energies are basically what's up leveling to like eventually dissolve borders and like dissolve really heavy duty power control centers around the planet. So we'll see, eventually we're gonna see, yeah, completely new economy and a transformation of military. Eventually there won't even have to be a military on this planet. Or there won't be prisons either. Future Vish, heart love vibration, living in harmony. And because we'll have elevated ways of healing disparity and density in human. Anyway, there I go, off on one. Some broader thought of our future world. We can connect quantumly. The internet just helps us say hello. It's so true. I'm really feeling that. It's quite intense, actually. Really, like vibrating and living in 5D, because you're aware of like conversations you're having. And I'm excited to like continue that and like see how that evolves in my reality of like, okay, so this is what's coming through. I'm just gonna believe it. I'm just gonna keep believing this. And I guess this is all part of it, right? Because it's basically like this higher awareness, which is like contained in this beautiful vision of love and like new paradigm, is ultimately what like guides me in my reality, which is why I'm now in this space of like, and now here I am, and now here I am. And my only work is essentially just to kind of continue to align myself in this unconditional love space, because everything that isn't that gets transformed out of me with the light of my awareness, because I'm just like, I love you. Conflict. I do, because that's how the work is. Density, fear in my body, in my mind just gets loved. I just enfold it, which is why I cry a lot, because it's quite a beautiful process. When you really love your totality, when you really love like all your little wounded bits. Oh yeah, Rochelle, virtual hug, virtual hug. Because if you just joined us, Rochelle, you're going to have to watch it back, because I was talking about the waves in the Vatican. And of course, Rochelle's just here for huggles, you guys, nothing else. Because we already know everything anyway, don't we? We already know all the truth of our own self. So we're just sovereign beings meeting up, being like, hey, what have you? Knowing that we're creating this epic love world. And it starts here, right? It starts just right here. It's already here. It's already birthed. Ding, love heart vibration. I don't even know when or how that happened, but love heart vibration is like now a thing, and I totally love it. I totally love it. I think I was having calls with quite a few of you because you reflected that back to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do that, don't I? Because everything is just in the everything's just in the flow. It's in the flow, you guys. So I'll share with you, along with I usually have a morning coffee, don't I? And some mornings I quite like to have water and fresh lemon juice. I worked at a health retreat for many years, so I like know all the trade secrets, you guys. Oh, I am doing that, by the way. I'm doing I'm in trouble again. Yes, Rochelle, he is. You triggered that in me, by the way. Marco, I feel you. I definitely feel you. My heart now just feels like a bright, brilliant white light. And when it doesn't, I just draw down the elixir, the life essence, the universal light codes. I just draw them in and like enlighten parts of my body that are feeling density, that are feeling discomfort. I just bring in the elixir. It works. Sometimes I have to sit with pain though. That's the only thing. I just have to sit and detach and shine light onto this discomfort, whether it's emotional or physical or whatever. It's kind of all the same to me because it's just energy. Everything else, sensation, is really just energy. Hey, you guys. I love it. You guys are like talking amongst yourselves. And I'm just talking to myself about energy, obviously, you guys. You know, it's one of those mornings. What time did I wake up this morning? I woke up at, I think, 1:30, and then I went back to bed, and I woke up at 3. I tend to sleep in like either hour and a half or like 3 hour. I tend to have these kind of intervals of sleep. An infinite power station of love. Yeah, I get that from you, actually, John. I'll give you that. An infinite power station of love. There's a fairiness about it. Learn from unconditional love. You woke me up at 3, MJ. Probably. For sure. I'm not sure when I went live. I often have chats in the morning as well. You know, it's part of the entrepreneur life, you guys. You randomly have calls with people in different nuggets of the world, and so time zones can be quite shifty for you. And at the same time, I absolutely love it. Like, I would not want it any other way, because I'm gonna definitely have time today to have a nap. But it's only because, like, one of these days we'll have to have like a call where everyone can hop on and you can see everyone's faces and we can all like, except that would probably be kind of distracting. But I can see my own face, and sometimes I just look a little sleepy. I look a little sleepy, you guys. So you guys, this was fun. It's always fun. I love you. I love this tribe so much. I love you, Alta Love TV. Oh, you will get to watch it at some point. I'm not buffering here. Sweet dude. Sweet. Telepathy. One mind. Totally connected. Yeah, so this was fun. It's always fun. I have mega love and appreciation for you guys. Well, we'll talk about that. You can find love even for the hate, yo. I will. Oh, thank you, John. Okay, yeah, you guys. So I'm flying to Indonesia tonight. I'll be tuning in at some point to share. And I'll also be going into fairly intensive production for Spirituality Simplified, my 8-week online course, which is going to be really fun. You can pre-order it. No. And actually, you can pre-order any of the courses if you feel like. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I am heading in knowing, like, okay, got some good filming to do, got lots of yoga to do, lots of meditation to do for you guys, and just channeling the beautiful energy and clarity from Bali, which I feel really blessed to be able to do. And then I'm going to be heading to Lombok, and I have to just massively hugs and thanks you guys for donating, because I've got over £1,000 to share with amazing people, generous people who lost their homes on the island of Lombok during the earthquake earlier this year, and Alta Love has managed to raise enough to buy them some materials to start building their new abode for their community. So I'm so excited. I'm going to be there like on Christmas, and then I'm going to be going to Ubud for my last 2 days, and I'm going to be visiting a place called New Earth Haven, which is a new paradigm New Earth project, and they have a base in Ubud. So I'm going to go visit them, and I'm going to interview the director. His name is Sasha Stone. I'm going to interview him about his path and ask him about some spiritual stuff that just might help you guys get a better sense of what spirituality is and how you can make spirituality work for you by basically being your own guru. So yeah, you guys, I love you. I'm very thankful for you. Feel free to subscribe and just keep sharing the love keep being your awesome selves, and I'll look forward to next Sunday where I'll be sharing from Bali, possibly at a slightly different time. I will hit an observer. I'm gonna be, you know what I'm like. I'm gonna be going live, and I'm gonna be making some amazing content for you guys in beautiful Bali, Indonesia, and then sharing also the rest of the journey, and sharing with you the family that you've helped and the people that you've helped in Lombok, and or we've helped, and yeah, share with you some exciting projects that are happening all over the world that align with our hearts and minds as well. Okay, you guys, have an awesome Sunday. I love you so much. Peace out, you guys. I love you guys. Bye.